Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our unit on culture. And it's kind of interesting today because we're talking about an aspect of culture that kind of doesn't really exist. Zombies. Do you believe in zombies? The Walking Dead. People controlled by some force they can't control, and with lots of movies depicting this. But I don't really know if this actually exists in the real world.
Oh, of course not. There are people who are dead that, come back to life. And the only way they can continue to survive as dead people is to eat the flesh of living people, especially your brain. Walking Dead is probably the most popular show right now on TV, but we've had some movies in the past that are very popular too. We'll talk about that. I'm not a big zombie fan, but I was shocked to learn that my sister is. But Walking Dead's very popular. It's still popular. It's been on for several years.
Yeah, I'm not a big zombie fan myself either, but I must say that a recent movie that came out of Korea that we'll mention later in the program was actually very well done.
Did you see it?
I did. Train to Busan.
Yeah.
It was much better than that Brad Pitt movie. Was that World War Z or something like that?
Oh, that was horrible.
That was a sleeper. That put me to sleep. But the one from Korea was actually very entertaining, so check it out. That doesn't mean I like zombies now, but it's possible to make a good zombie movie.
Okay.
At least someone showed me that it's possible. But we're going to talk about zombies here. Undead, but not unfashionable. Yes, indeed, they're still very fashionable. Lots of people like to watch zombie movies, like your sister, for example.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about this as our lesson continues. So let's get to it. Everybody, let's read the first part of our lesson, Day 1, one time. A small group of people runs through the streets of a city. They are on a desperate search for food and safety. Behind them stagger the ragged figures of zombies, walking corpses hungry for the flesh and especially the brains of the living. This nightmare scenario is familiar to all fans of the zombie apocalypse concept that has become common in TV shows, movies, and books. But where did the idea come from? Stories about zombies originated in the folklore of Haiti. Experts suggest that these may have grown out of African tales that were blended with local indigenous beliefs. In Haiti, the word zombie refers to a dead person brought back to life by the magic of a witch or sorcerer. This zombie is then made a slave with no will of its own, suggesting a connection between these wretched creatures and slavery in Haiti. Stories about zombies and other creatures raised from the grave appeared throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries. However, it was not until the 1960s that the zombies we're familiar with appeared. They shambled onto the screen in George A. Romero's 1968 movie Night of the Living Dead. This established many of the conventions of zombie films. These include the sudden zombie plague that sweeps across the land, the small band of survivors, zombies eating people, and zombie bites turning their victims into zombies themselves. From then on, zombie movies became a genre of their own. Most are horror films, but there have also been comedies such as Shaun of the Dead and the romance Warm Bodies. What's more, different countries are putting out their own takes on zombie films. For example, the South Korean hit Train to Busan.
Okay, guys, we're going to be talking about zombies for the next couple of programs. They're undead. They're actually dead, but they've been brought back to life, kind of, through some mysterious magical power. But it says here they're not unfashionable. We've got two negatives here. Not unfashionable means just the opposite. They're fashionable. They're kind of trendy. They've been trendy for, I would say, for the last almost 10 years. They've been trendy, so maybe even longer. But it's kind of funny. I don't know. I used to laugh at them, but they're very serious in the Walking Dead show, you know. Don't laugh at those zombies. They're pretty scary. Let's look at the first paragraph here. We've got a small group of people this group runs through the streets of a city. They're on a desperate search for food and safety. Yeah, I guess that's the theme of some of these shows. They're always running from the zombies. And behind the group that's running for their lives, you'll see a group of zombies. Behind them stagger. If you stagger, you kind of walk kind of awkwardly. You kind of halt, and then you go, and you halt means stop. You go, you stop. It's not a smooth walk that you see, a smooth stride. They're staggering because they can't walk very well. I mean, they've been dead for a while, brought back to life. They're not in good condition. They haven't been to the gym in a while. So they're staggering. And they also describe these zombies as being ragged figures. Most of them have been buried, right? So their clothes are kind of coming apart. They're ripped and torn. Things kind of disintegrate after you're buried. They come apart. So they look ragged. They're walking corpses. A corpse is a dead body. We don't use this to talk about a real person that we love, like mom or dad. I saw their corpse. Never say that. Corpse is a medical term or a police term that they use for their work. So they're walking corpses, hungry for the flesh, especially the brains of the living. So you can understand why that group of people are running for their lives.
Indeed, and this is a nightmare scenario. It's familiar to all fans of the zombie apocalypse concept that has become common in modern culture. I'll get to the rest of that sentence in just a second, but let's go back and talk about the word here, scenario. That just means a scene, maybe an outline or something of a movie or the plot of something. It's a scenario, a kind of situation, basically, and it's a nightmare scenario, which means, we don't want this to happen. It's a bad dream. Certainly don't want that to happen to us. But if you're a fan of zombies, then you'll be familiar with this scenario. It's familiar to all fans of this zombie apocalypse concept. I keep hearing about the zombie apocalypse. Apocalypse kind of means the final destruction of the world, the end of the world, when everybody starts fighting each other, like what in the Bible, it's the book of Revelation or something like that.
Right.
When the world comes to the end and the enemies come out and there's this big fight, and at the end there's nothing left but desert and a bunch of bodies and corpses and stuff like that. So yes, this will happen with zombies, the zombie apocalypse, when I guess everybody turns into zombies. It's a concept or an idea that is common in TV shows, movies, and books, but we're going to ask this question. Where did this idea come from? Why is everybody so obsessed with zombies, and where did this concept come from to begin with?
Well, in the next paragraph, it kind of tells us stories about zombies originated or came from in the folklore of Haiti. So you can come from something, but if you use come from, don't use in, but originated in. They originated in the folklore. Folklore are stories that are passed down through the generations. Usually people just use by word of mouth. They're just telling these stories, but they're written down as well in a lot of folklore. But it's kind of funny to hear the folklore of different cultures. This is something that originated in Haiti. Haiti, which is very close to Florida, as I recall. So, we'll often use originate to talk about animals. Where did they originate? Because a lot of times animals weren't found in a particular area of the world, but after people put them on ships and transported them to other places, then they started having that particular animal or bird in a place that they didn't originate in.
Indeed, like kangaroos, of course, originated in Australia. They're native to Australia, etc. And zombies, of course, at least the concept, stories about zombies, came from Haiti and their folklore, their folk tales and stuff like that. And experts suggest that these may have grown out of African tales that were blended with local indigenous beliefs. So, yes, Haiti, of course, is a country populated by former slaves or the descendants of former slaves. So So, of course, slaves at that time in the New World mostly came from Africa, and they brought their tales and their folklore with them. So, yes, we've got African tales, and they were blended with local beliefs in Haiti. There were probably some indigenous people living there. Indigenous means something that is originally from that place. We could talk about the indigenous tribes of Taiwan, like the Amis and the Atayal and the Puyuma, etc., etc. Those are all indigenous peoples here in Taiwan.
So in Haiti, this word zombie, notice it's spelled differently in Haiti. It refers to or is talking about, mentions, refers to here just means is something. So it's a dead person brought back to life by the magic of a witch or sorcerer. A sorcerer is another word for wizard. Here, though, I want to say refers to can also mean something a little different if you're having a conversation. Tom referred to him when we were talking about the project. So if Tom referred to somebody, it says he mentioned him quickly in passing. So this zombie word is actually defined as a dead person brought back to life by magic. Typically, a witch is female and a sorcerer or a wizard is male. But, yeah, I've seen them interchangeably used, so whatever you want there.
Or a wizard. I suppose a wizard is nice. When I was growing up, we had witches and then warlocks. The male version of a witch.
I remember that, yeah.
Was a warlock. But sorcerer here, I guess, is the same thing. And this zombie is then made a slave with no will of its own, suggesting a connection between these wretched creatures and slavery in Haiti. And I did touch on the word slavery earlier on here. Slavery, of course, is bondage, which means people are owned by other people. They're forced to work and stuff like that. Slavery, of course, was the main issue of the American Civil War way back in the 1860s. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson today. Let's take a break right now and listen to our dear Chinese teacher.Hi
everyone, my name is Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第3单元。好，我们今天的话题呢是要谈 zombies。zombie 这个字，我们呢如果喜欢看僵尸片的人应该知道，这个僵尸啊可是一个热门的话题，正流行呢。那首先我们就来看他文章开头就提到这僵尸行动的样子，然后呢这句提到说 Behind them staggered the ragged figures of zombies。 好，说到他们的行动，这个动词 stagger 当然就是表示步履很蹒跚，但是句构上呢我们也会注意到这个 behind them， 当然这只是一个所谓的介系词片语，那放到前面来，原来这句是倒装句。倒装句呢就表示说真正的主词是在后面这里，其实就在动词 stagger 的后面说到 the ragged figures of zombies， 说到了这些衣衫褴褛的僵尸们，那这个主词放后面，当然有时候我们在句构上如果主词非常的长，就像在这里一样，它其实整个的后面还有一串的叙述，那我们会发现说用倒装句的写法反而更能把焦点讲得清楚，所以这个就是一个倒装句的句构。好，再来下面呢他当然继续描述说到这样子的场景，我们其实很多看僵尸片的人都会发现说好像常见，然后僵尸末日的这种概念似乎在电视剧里、电影里面还有文学作品里面都会看得到。那这里边有一个字比较难一点，就是 apocalypse。 什么叫 apocalypse？ 这当然跟圣经的故事有关，不过呢这个基本上它的概念就是谈到一种世界毁灭，整个灭亡之后，然后重新一切再重新开始，这样子的 concept， 这样子的概念。好，那我们说到僵尸，下一段就要告诉大家，那为什么会有 zombie 这个字呢？这些 zombies 他们的故事又怎么来的呢？很有趣的就是说，其实是来自于一开始可能呢跟非洲的传说有关，可是我们知道真正来看的话是 把非洲的传说结合了海地当地的民间信仰而发展出来的。好，这边有一个片语，他说到 may have grown out of。 我们知道 grow out of 就好像有点来自于什么样的起源，而这边用 may 再加一个完成式，其实就是表示一种可能性。那这个可能性后面谈的事情是之前当时可能是这样来的，所以你看到了一个完成式的写法。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about zombies. It's our culture unit. And although zombies aren't real, they are a part of culture. So that's what we're doing. Oftentimes when we talk about culture that is currently popular, we use a term pop culture. So if you know what's going on in the news and on TV, and you're familiar with the most popular programs, then you're up to date with pop culture. Pop culture is kind of fun. So we're continuing on in the third paragraph. It says stories about zombies and other creatures raised from the grave appear throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries. If you raise someone from the grave, this is a phrase that we use to talk about someone who has died, has been buried, and then has come back to life or has some sort of life in them. Actually, it's used in the Bible where Jesus raised someone from the dead through his power. These creatures have been raised through the dead, though, not by any good power, but by magic. And a sorcerer is typically a bad kind of magic, a scary kind of magic. So these stories at least, appeared throughout the late 19th century. 19th century would be, the late 19th century is the 1800s at the very end. And then 20th century is the 1900s. I know that's kind of weird, but that's how we count those. So that's where they first started talking about these zombies.
So that's the concept here. Zombies come out of the grave and they're the walking dead. However, it was not until the 1960s that the zombies we're familiar with appeared. So before that, zombies had, I guess, a different kind of definition. But nowadays, when we think of zombies, we think of basically the zombies in that Brad Pitt movie and that South Korean movie. Zombies like that coming out. Of course, they're coming out of the ground and stuff like that, and then biting other people and turning them into zombies as well, and the way they stagger around and stuff like that, and they kind of scream and they're kind of crazy, as if they have rabies or something like that.
Kinda, yeah.
But indeed, that's when they finally appeared. So yes, however, it was not until the 1960s that the zombies we're familiar with appeared. That's when they appeared. That's when we started to see these kinds of zombies in popular culture.
I should probably mention rabies. Tom was talking about it's not like they have rabies or like they have rabies. R-A-B-I-E-S, rabies, is a disease that is usually transferred through dogs and bats and actually a raccoon that we had got rabies. And if you're bitten by one, if a person is bitten by one of these animals who has rabies, they go crazy. And they can die. So,
basically, rabies is always fatal if you don't treat it.
Scary, yeah.
So you got to treat it right away if you're bitten by a raccoon or a bat or something like that. It's curable if you catch it early enough.
Yeah.
But I think what my mentioning there was that if you don't get cured, toward the end there, you start to act crazy, you start to scream and stuff like that, as if you were a zombie. Maybe that's kind of also where the idea comes from. But here's what happened. They shambled onto the screen in George A. Romero's 1968 movie, Night of the Living Dead. So they shambled onto the screen. Here we've got the word shamble, which I must admit, I've never used this as a verb myself.
I don't either.
But as a verb, it means you kind of move with a slow, awkward gait or style of walking.
You know, you don't pick up your feet. You know, older people, how they just shuffle along the ground. They're not picking up their feet. That's kind of how a zombie walks as well. But the shamble, it's interesting. Tom and I were talking about this verb. It's used as a verb more in England, in the UK. In America, we have a phrase, something's in shambles, which just means something's just like 乱七八糟. It's a mess. It's chaotic.
The city was in shambles after the earthquake, we could say, for example. But here, shamble is being used as a verb, so yes, indeed, they kind of moved onto the screen. They were being seen in movies. It began with George A. Romero's movie Night of the Living Dead, which came out way back in 1968 during the height of the Vietnam War. This established many of the conventions of zombie films. So it kind of set those things up. To establish means to set things up, to set a precedent, you could say. And these are the conventions of zombie films. A convention in this particular case means things that you see over and over, the defining characteristics or the qualities of zombie films.
It's a good definition. So these include the sudden zombie plague that sweeps across the land, the small band of survivors, zombies eating people, and zombie bites turning their victims into zombies themselves, kind of like vampires. If they bite you, you know, you're one done. So these are some of the conventions. These are the characteristics that you often see in either zombie TV programs or movies. So the plague is a disease that can kill a lot of people. We've had plagues in the past that have really done a lot of damage. The bubonic plague was horrible. It killed millions of people. So this plague, there's a zombie plague. So it sweeps across the land, so it goes across a wide area of land. There's a small band of survivors. That just means band here is a measure word. Band of survivors. Zombies are eating people, of course. And if you're unfortunate enough to be bitten by one of those zombies, you can turn into a zombie yourself. And then you have to start eating people and, you know, eating their brains, good things like that.
That's what happens. So these are the conventions, the qualities or things you will see in these movies. You got the plague, of course. You got a band of survivors who are trying to get away from them. Zombies eating people, and they bite their victims and turn them into zombies themselves. Yes, these conventions were part of World War Z and also of Train to Busan. Now, from then on, zombie movies became a genre of their own. So we've got different kinds of movies. Do you like action movies? Do you like mysteries, romances, or rom-coms, romantic comedies? Those are different genres of films. And then zombie movies became a genre of their own because lots of people were making them. It became its own genre. Probably a subgenre of horror films.
Right. Oh, some of the zombie films, though, are comedies.
True.
So it's a combination of horror comedy, which is interesting. A genre is a French word. That's why it's pronounced so weird. Sorry about that. Genre just means a type, a category of something. For example, art, music, literature. We just talked about categories of film. And so this is a genre of its own because there have been so many, they had to give them their own little group or category. Most are horror films, it's true, but there are comedies as well. If it's a comedy, it's funny. You don't have to say a comedy film. I hear that a lot in Taiwan. I'm going to go see a comedy film, or I like comedy films. No, just say I like comedies. So some of them we do tend to say a horror film and not just horrors. I like horrors. You can't say that.
You can't say an action either, an action film.
Which isn't fair. We're not consistent. English is inconsistent, and that's what makes it hard to learn. But if you like comedies, you should check out Shaun of the Dead and there's a romance too. Ooh, Warm Bodies. Creepy.
I've never seen those myself, but I suppose they're kind of poking fun at the zombie movie genre, so they're probably quite entertaining to watch. What's more, different countries are putting out their own takes on zombie films. Your take on something just means your version of something, how you interpret this idea. So we've got an example here, the South Korean hit film in 2016, Train to Busan, which I've mentioned many times before. They put their own take on this movie, which was quite refreshing. They had this take place on a train in Korea, and they had some pretty good characters there having conflicts with themselves and stuff like that. So,
how many zombies were on the train?
Well, pretty much all the passengers became zombies except maybe two. I think.
Oh, you're kidding.
I think, yeah, the little girl and
the dad?
the house or the wife or something.
Oh, okay.
They survived at the end. But I just gave it away. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. But I'm sure most people have already said that, have already seen the movie. But in any case, there might be different zombie movies from other countries as well. I wonder what India has done with this genre, or Russia. You know, what kind of a take does some filmmaking industry in, say, the Congo have on the zombie movie genre?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's become so popular. Maybe not in every culture, but certainly in here in Asia it's popular, and in the West as well. So why don't you try and see a couple of these and then give your take on how you feel about zombies to your friends. So, yeah, it's just your opinion. Give a take on something. So it sounds fun. It makes me want to go and check out Shaun of the Dead. I think the horrors are a little too horrific for me. You know, there's too much blood and guts. Their guts are hanging out of their bodies. It's kind of your guts to the inside of your body, the organs that are pulled out. That's sick.
Hey, you might get an Oscar for, costumes or something.
Yeah.
If you
Makeup.
do a good job. Makeup, I guess that would be more in the category of makeup there than costumes. But in any case, that brings us to the end of our discussion about zombie films for today. But we're going to continue talking about them in our program next time. But first, before we say goodbye, we need to hear once again from our Chinese teacher.
好，我们继续来看这个 zombie 这种它的故事的来源。提到了在海地，提到了当地可能呢，其实他们本身有 slavery， 也就是说当地有奴隶，而这些奴隶呢，可怜的故事，就被转化成为今天我们说的僵尸。当然，我们看到这些故事呢，在我们看电视剧、看电影里面呢，都很多。在今天来说，可是它一开始呢，可以说在19世纪晚期一直到20世纪的时候，那时候慢慢的出现。而这种故事到了1960年代，当时有一个导演，他演他的这部电影叫《活死人之夜》。在这个电影里面呢，从那个之后，哇，才突然之间，突然大家都爱上或是看这种僵尸电影，而且这样的电影也越来越多。那我们要看到的是一个结构性的问题，就是句构上这里有一个句子，它提到是一直到1960年代，我们才有今天大家所熟悉的这样子的僵尸的故事啊。那这个地方的 It was not until the 1960s， 我们要注意的这个结构，其实它有一点叫做强调的语气。当你要强调某一个时间也好，某一个地点也好，你都会有一个 at， 然后后面一个 that 子句，这种是分裂句构。不过当你用 is not until 然后再接一个 that， 那就是直到了某一个时间才发生什么事。所以说可以说在1960年代开始，我们要强调的也就是这个时间。好，那僵尸的故事呢，从这个电影《活死人之夜》之后到现在，它可以说是成为一种的类型，是一个 genre， 在文学上的电影上的类型就是 genre。 好，那当然后面他就举例，比如说也许您都看过的活人生吃 Shaun of the Dead， 还有他后面的 Warm Bodies， 僵尸哪有这么帅，还有最红的这一部可能就是南韩的卖座电影《失速列车》。好，我们今天的讲解就到这边结束，我们下次见。
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. Please join us again next time when we continue to talk about zombies, undead, but not unfashionable. We can hardly wait to see you again. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.